Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the HQ. As you can tell by the title, tonight's story is not the complete Christmas City Massacre of Willowwood High. I am going to be re-recording that because I just got this new MV7. Audio quality is so much better now, and I am super happy about it. I want to do the Christmas City Massacre of Willowwood High justice. So I am going to sit down and re-record the entire thing. The first three parts will remain on my channel as they are, but I want to do what I can to make that sound as good as possible for the complete. I hope you guys are enjoying my channel. Tonight's story, we've got the Buzzsaw Bloodhouse Prozzy adaptation. Quick heads up, tonight's story is very, very, very disturbing. So, if you're squeamish or easily disturbed, don't watch tonight's story. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. Go ahead and let me know what you think of the new quality down below. I've also gotten a lot better at editing. So I want to show you guys the best side of my channel. I hope you guys enjoy. Go ahead and, do all the stuff that normal YouTubers tell you to do. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, all of that fun stuff. And enjoy.
Welcome to the Bloodhouse. This site is home of the largest collection of gore videos around the world. It is thanks to your continuous donations that we can keep this site running. Right now, our latest participant is nearing the end of her trail. Let us see how she fares. The low-lit computer screen shifted to the image of a middle school girl yelling for dear life in a rusty hallway. Her clothes were tattered to shreds and her skin was riddled with cuts and bruises. Clumps of her hair were matted together by blood. "Let me out! I'm tired of your sick games! My friends are dead because of you sick fucks!" The girl screamed her lungs out at the security camera overhead. She knew her screams would make no difference. She simply wanted the satisfaction of lashing out at her captors. Before her was a room entangled with barbed wire. From the ceiling to the floor were precise strands of the harmful wire, and past it all was a big red door with an escape sign above it. The exit was so close, yet so far away from the girl, that she wondered if it was even worth it to take this route. She wondered if she should find another way out. No, it would be far too risky. She almost died countless times over and over again, just to get to where she was now. She would not survive another trial of that. Her only sliver of hope was to get past this last ordeal, and hope for the best. Willing up her nerves, she deftly forced her leg into an opening in the net of wire. There was just barely enough room for her to navigate through without her entire body getting ripped to pieces. Her terrified breath was trapped in her sunken chest. Never before had she felt grateful for her petite frame. The space between the wires diminished the closer she got to the exit. It became impossible to progress without suffering tearful slashes against her already heavily wounded body. Her tears flowed freely down her bloodied face. Each step forward meant another part of her skin got scraped off. The sight of the door grew increasingly blurry the closer she got. The blood loss and pain were completely ruining her vision. How much more could she take? Every part of her wanted to stop now before it got even worse. There was only a faint glimmer of hope that kept her going. She used her intense desire for freedom to march through the jungle of earned metal and stood at the door. Her slender thighs had turned into a canvas of fresh gashes. She had practically become a corpse just to reach the exit. New scars lapped over old scars, and her once beautiful body resembled a rag doll rather than a teenage girl. All of her hopes and prayers went off like alarm bells as she placed her hand on the door. She weakly turned the doorknob and slumped her body forward to move past the entrance. To her horror, The door did not lead to an escape path. It was only a small room with a chainsaw-wielding giant of a man. It was at that moment she knew true despair. No amount of running would save her. Her ear-splitting screams intermingled with the loud roars of the chainsaw cutting through her skull, down the middle. God, detention was such a drag. Whose idea was it to pull the alarm bell again? Samantha said as she adjusted her copper hair in her mini-mirror. She and her group of friends were walking along the forest trail that would bring them to their neighborhood. Amanda pridefully shot her arm to the sky. That would be me. No way I was going to put up with another calculus test. You guys wouldn't have been my decoys if you didn't enjoy it. Amantha's smug smile was a source of annoyance for all of her friends. Excuse me? You're the one who told us to meet you in the hallway, and then took off running after you rang the bell. You practically forced us to come along. Can't complain too much, though. I wasn't looking forward to class either. Emily sheepishly smiled while remaining in the back with the shaking Arya. It's nice that you two are having fun, because I'm doing awful. I can't imagine how disappointed my parents will be if they find out about this. It's the first time I've ever gotten in trouble at school. Ever. Amanda cocked her head back to snicker at the distraught girl. You need to relax, Miss Honor Roll. A little bit of excitement never killed anyone. I'll bet that was the first time in your life you've even lived a little. My idea of living doesn't involve getting punished for your stupid ideas. Leave me out of your dumb pranks. Arya shook her head in annoyance, while imagining the look of shock on her parents. She feared that their image of a perfect daughter was tarnished. It's so dark out right now. I have to hurry up and head home before my parents worry about where I am. I'm not letting you forget this. You owe us, Amanda. Arya hurried her pace as she took the lead of the girls walking home. She thought at first that becoming friends with a popular girl like Amanda would boost her self-confidence. Instead, she found herself routinely getting roped into her schemes. Arya could barely keep up with the thrill-seeker, while Samantha and Emily seemed well-adjusted to her personality. Arya let out a resigning sigh before she noticed a car coming down the forest trail. Hey guys, that car is getting awfully close to us. It's like he's tailing us, Samantha muttered. Don't be so paranoid. There's not much room on the road to navigate, Amanda assured her. Almost immediately after saying this, the car swerved ahead of them to block their path. It was a huge black van that was scraped on just about every surface. It was like the car had been salvaged from the junk heap. The headlights shined down intensely onto the girls. They stared at each other and then back at the van. Before anyone could question what had just happened, a man rushed out of the van. His eyes were concealed by a pair of shades, and his tall, imposing figure donned a black suit. Within the span of a second, he pulled a gun from his back pocket and aimed it at the girls. Get in the van! His voice boomed in their ears, clear as day. Cold shivers resonated through their bodies. Is this a joke? Samantha asked while trembling on the spot. The setting sun reflected on the black metal weapon. She has never seen a gun in real life before. But she could certainly tell that it wasn't some cheap toy. Don't make me repeat myself, the man coldly replied. The girls all yelped where they stood. Before slowly approaching the van, the man ushered them into the vehicle while keeping his finger securely on the trigger. I don't want to hear any bitching. You're to sit there quietly in the back until I drop you off at the location. If I hear any of you crying, that's it. I'm pumping you all full of lead. Understand? The girls just tearfully nodded their heads while clutching each other. They all fought back the urge to burst into tears. It was almost comedic, in a messed up sort of way, how fast their lives had changed. The trepidation in the air made the car ride feel 3 times longer than it actually was. With each new road they crossed, They hoped and prayed for a bystander to arrive to see their distressed state. The girls hoped upon hope for someone, anyone, to save them. Usually, the sight of the quiet forest surrounding them calmed their minds after a long day of school. Now, it served as a grim reminder that no one could save them. Emily! Emily! Wake up! Emily jolted her body upwards on the bed she lay on. What caught her eye first wasn't the concerned look on Arya's face, but rather the dimly lit room that surrounded them. The floorboards were chipped from years of decay, and the walls had collected layers of dirt. It looked like the type of rooms that they used in drug lord movies. Memories of the kidnapping came flooding back to Emily's mind, and she felt the strong urge to embrace Arya. The two girls clung to each other in a tight hug as they finally let their pent-up tears stream. What the hell happened to us? Where are we? Emily spoke in barely a whisper. I don't know. I think it's an abandoned apartment. That bastard forced us all into this building and then made us take these pills. I blacked out and woke up here with you. I have no idea where he put it. I have no idea where he put Samantha and Amanda. We can't just stay here. We have to go and find the police or something. Emily moved to grope at the door handle, but it wouldn't budge, not even an inch. I already tried that. He has the door locked tight, and all the windows are boarded up. We're trapped. Arya slumped down to the ground in defeat. Her spirit was utterly defeated. She couldn't control the stream of tears flowing from her eyes, and Emily was right there sobbing with her. They only stopped crying once they noticed a TV screen in the room had flickered on. To their horror, Samantha and Amanda were on screen. Their two friends seemed oblivious of the TV at first, until their eyes widened in its direction. Amanda and Samantha approached the television while screaming off silent words. Oh my God, I think they can see us, but there's no audio. At least we know they're safe. Are you okay? Emily enunciated each word towards the TV so that the two could hopefully read her lips. To her relief, they nodded and asked the same thing. Emily gave them a thumbs up to reassure them. How sweet that the friends have reunited. Seeing them so invested in each other will make their deaths so much sweeter. Smile for the camera. All four girls jerked their body in fear at the all-too-familiar voice originating from the TV screen. It was the same man who abducted them. His gravelly voice struck them to their core. Don't look so scared. You should feel very honored to be a part of the Buzzsaw Bloodhouse. Not many girls have the privilege of being here. Count yourselves lucky. You'll go down in internet history. What the hell is the Buzzsaw Bloodhouse? Is that some type of TV show? Arya asked their captor. It certainly is a show of sorts. It's an exclusive broadcast specifically for the dark web. There are legions of fans who clamor for the chance to see girls like you. In the Buzzsaw Bloodhouse, you will endure several survival challenges. Our fans want to see you pretty girls mutilated and bludgeoned. We crave depravity. Welcome to the dark web. The video fizzled out into static, and Emily and Arya were left to themselves. This has to be some kind of sick prank. This can't be happening to us. I know. I've heard other girls talk about escape rooms lately. I'll bet this is just some kind of publicity stunt to get more visitors. Emily paced around the room with frantic breath and shaky limbs. Arya solemnly clutched Emily's hand to stare into her eyes. As much as I want to believe you, that doesn't make any sense. Kidnapping a group of teenage girls sounds more like a trip straight to jail than a publicity stunt. The way that guy looked at us, it wasn't right. I felt my blood freeze. He meant every single word he said. Our best hope is to follow his orders. Arya wanted to bawl her eyes out, but she had to be the support that Emily desperately needed. She wasn't going to let her friend break down. Emily wiped her puffy eyes to stare into Arya's comforting gaze. How can any of this be true? Do people actually want to see us suffer and die? For what? God, this is such a sick joke. I don't think I can go through with this. We have to. He has our friends captive. The only way to find them is to survive whatever fucked up experiment he has planned for us. Just believe in me, and I promise we can get through this. Arya pressed her forehead to Emily's. Hugging her warmly, Emily could feel faint glimmers of courage welling up in her heart. They didn't want to They didn't always get along, but Amanda and Samantha were still her friends. She couldn't live with herself if she left them behind. Okay, let's do it. Let's play his game. The pair left the room to enter the hall. The floorboards looked devastated by years of decay, coupled with obvious mold growing in certain areas. The various patches of dried blood did not go unnoticed. Emily and Arya held each other's hands down the dimly lit hall, while ignoring all the signals telling them to run away. They could hear the sounds of grinding metal raising in volume the closer they reached to the end of the hall. Waiting for them was a sea of chainsaws connected to the ceiling by long metallic wire. Each chainsaw rocked horizontally across the room at its own pace. Oh my god, Arya was frozen in place. This contraption was far worse than anything she had planned. She felt herself growing nauseous from watching the clockwork-like motions of the chainsaws. What the hell are we supposed to do now? Those things will butcher us. We need to turn around and find another way out of here. Emily tugged on Arya's shoulder in a desperate plea. No, we can't give up just yet. Just trust me on this. We have to follow the rhythm of the blades and enter the gaps between them. It's definitely doable if we play smart. Follow my lead. Willing up her nerves, Arya placed herself in front of one of the alternating chainsaws. She watched it glide from one end of the room to the other. There was an exact 2-second gap in time to enter the empty space. She clutched her palms to the point that they turned white. No room for mistakes, no room for hesitation. Once her moment to leap came, she took it. Arya propelled herself into the immediate space past the chainsaw. She repeated the same process for every swinging chainsaw that stood in her way. Watching her friend traverse to the end of the room gave Emily the strength she needed to take initiative. She calmed her heart as she analyzed the rhythm of the chainsaws, and then leaped past it. The death traps became notably less intimidating once slowly approached, one at a time. It wasn't too long before Emily stood at the end of the room with Arya. See, we can make it through if we keep our heads together. We're not going to give those bastards the show they want. Arya marched down the hall with the mask of determination. She couldn't imagine being this brave if her life was the only one at stake. As they were walking, the pair noticed an odd black screen planted on the wall. It seemed to be an LCD, like the one found on phones. DX Fan 98. I can't believe those bitches didn't get cut in half. I wanted to see the gore. Virgin Lover 56. Emily is such a whiny whore. I hope she gets gutted. Killjoy 88. She's kinda cute, though. AnonCon 61. She'd be cuter if she'd shut the fuck up. XXX Tassie. OO. Hope they make it out before getting mutilated. King of Pleasure 69. Or they make it out after their limbs are torn off. That's way better. What the hell am I looking at? Arya's mouth was agape. She stared at the demented chat room with evolving disgust. The screen became a scrolling wall of text, each commenter expressing their interest in seeing the girls meet their ends in macabre ways. You people are monsters. Can't you see the filth you're typing? We're human beings. We have friends and families. Please call the police instead of all of this bullshit, Emily shouted at the screen, hoping that one of the hidden cameras would pick up her voice. The chat room erupted in a sea of laughter, at the expense of seeing Emily look so pathetic. They mocked her with each reply and called her names not even her worst enemies would dream of. Let's not waste our time on them. Anyone who can talk like that is completely heartless. Filthy animals. Arya spoke with a bitterness her mouth wasn't used to. Seeing someone speak something so vile about anyone, let alone her best friend, was too much for her. The girls walked further down the hall until they were confronted by a series of buzzsaws strapped to both sides of the wall. Like the trap earlier, there was hardly enough room to advance onwards. Arya looked at Emily, and Emily looked right back. The two girls sucked in their stomachs before they went forward, their buzzsaws barely centimeters away from their stomach. The buzzsaws were placed in a zigzag formation, which meant the girls had to alternate the left and right sides of the hall. Emily thought she was doing fairly well until a sharp pain flared up her right arm. She shrieked in horror upon seeing a long needle embedded in her skin. What the hell? Where did this even come from? Emily darted her eyes around the room until she spotted a contraption placed above. It resembled a slingshot, but used needles as ammo. Oh my god. Oh my god, we have to keep moving before it starts again. Arya shrieked as she shuffled her body as fast as it could go. The weapons overhead shot needles at the girls with terrifying accuracy. Some needles scraped past their skin. Others were pinned into their arms and waist. The pain and anxiety was consuming their mind. Arya was almost out of the alley of buzzsaws when a needle shot right into her ankle, causing her to lose balance. Her body fell forward and her limbs met an unfortunate fate with the saws. The buzzsaw cleaved through her left arm and into her chest. Any screams she wanted to tell were garbled by a river of blood flowing from her mouth. Emily didn't even have time to check on her friend, because the needle gun was now firing at double the rate. She rushed into the nearest room to cry her heart out. Her friend was butchered right in front of her, and she was completely powerless to help. Emily couldn't think of what else to do but cry. She was so adamant that they would all survive. Emily tried her best to save everyone, but it ultimately didn't amount to anything. Looks like Daddy's little girl finally got her wake-up call. Welcome to the world of Buzzsaw Bloodhouse, where everyone's darkest desires come true. Emily looked up to find a burly man in ragged clothing, carrying a chainsaw with fresh blood dripping from it. Two radically different options flashed between Emily's eyes. She could just accept her fate and let this bastard have his way with her, or, get the hell away from me! Emily grabbed one of the needles that was stuck in her and used it to stab the man in the crotch. Emily took off running to the left, with the man not far behind her. She wondered what kind of monster he had to be to shrug off an attack like that. Probably the same kind of monster that watches innocent girls suffer, she thought to herself during her escape. She could feel air brush against her back as the man in orange clothes swung the chainsaw at her. Each swing was dangerously close to butchering through her. She could just barely make out a line of barbed wire blocking her path straight ahead. She had to slide forward to avoid the wire and keep going. The man tried to cut through the wire, but it got tangled in the chainsaw, and he had to throw it behind. Emily ran around a corner and waited for the man to approach. She figured the mask that he wore would cloud his peripheral vision. She clutched her needle, and as she heard the loud footsteps of heavy boots coming closer, as soon as the man peeked his head around the corner, Emily lunged. She plunged the needle as far as it could go into his neck, with fury burning in her eyes. The man was dazed and was opened for another attack. Emily removed the needle so she could stab him several times over. She watched the bastard clutch at his wound and stumble back. Blood poured profusely from his neck. Despite his attempts to stop the bleeding, Emily stabbed his eyes, his ears, his chest, and his legs. She let out the anger on each part of his body. When she finally came to her senses, her clothes were drenched with blood. She didn't feel relieved or disturbed by what she had just done, just incredibly empty. She looked at one of the video cameras overhead and gave a delightful smile. Did you enjoy the show? Tragedy struck a small North Carolina community when 14 girls went missing 2 weeks prior. There is no knowledge of their current whereabouts, but police have noted that one of the girls frequented the dark web before her disappearance. Many disturbing videos depicting graphic violence upon other teenage girls were found on her hard drive. According to some of the conversations retrieved by police, They had reason to believe that this girl staged the disappearance with an accomplice from the dark web. If you have any information concerning, please contact the proper authorities. Thank you for listening to CFS News. All right, guys, thank you again so much for watching tonight's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do what I said before. Leave the subscribe, the like, the comment, all of that fun stuff. And I will see you guys soon.